Welcome to our second section on identity created. And as we continue in our series, this time we'll be looking at our identity as created in the image of God, the Imago Dei. And our identity is wrapped up, as we saw last time, in who God created us to be. And the Bible tells us that God created us in His own image. But what does that mean? What does it look like to be created in the image of God? This question is not an easy one to answer. It has spanned thousands of years of Christian and early Jewish thought. But some have thought, perhaps, maybe do people bear a physical resemblance to God? Well, no. God is a spirit, the Bible says. He does not have a form or a body. But our bodies are good and pleasing to God. Well, how about this? Are our spirits little sparks of the divine being that live in us? Well, no. God alone is divine. He is the only God. But He did create us with an everlasting soul. There are many reasonable answers to what it means to be made in the image of God, but I do want us to consider one that I believe to be a primary significance of what this means. If you look with me at Genesis 1:27-31, the Bible tells us, God created man in His own image. In the image of God He created him. Male and female He created them. And God blessed them, and God said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And God said, Behold, I have given you every plant, yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit, you shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. And God saw everything He had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. In this passage, there's at least one thing that is clear. For us, human beings made in the image of God, what that means is that we are created and commissioned by Him as vice-regents, as rulers under the supreme authority of God to subdue the earth, to multiply in childbearing, to express dominion over the creatures. And this is all very good. This commission is built into what it means to be made in the image of God. And it places all mankind into a covenant relationship with their Creator, with the God who calls each of us to serve this function under His ultimate authority. But our culture hears this and says, why would you want to be subject to some antiquated idea of God, and when your true freedom seems to be only found by being who you are on the inside? Now, the world we live in considers a commission like this from God and the accountability that we have to Him to be foolish or maybe even harmful to us. Because if we're constantly living for someone else's agenda, then we can never truly be ourselves, they say. The idea of God and the very idea of religion impinges on our ability to be who we truly are, our authentic selves. All around us, people say, if you're going to be yourself, you need to cast off the restraints of the oppressive authority of God or religion, government, churches, families. Well, we all want freedom. The real question is, how do we get it? If freedom is only found in being your true self and then rejecting those constraints that would, of moral codes or societal standards, then let's get to work on that together. Forget about this video. But what kind of freedom does that actually result in? I think if you follow it to its end, you ultimately become a slave to your own instincts. You become bound to the prevailing voices of our culture. Whether you recognize it or not, I think we all fall into this trap. You see, true freedom isn't found in rejecting all authority except your own. But actually, it's found in embracing the authority of a good God who made you who is in a covenant relationship with you. You see, the idea of being an authority all to yourself, it's actually an illusion. No society can function like that. No human being can purely survive on their own folly without the grace of God to sustain them. So you and I, as image bearers of God, we have great honor, great dignity and value and worth that comes from being appointed as God's vice regents, servants of the God who created the universe. And even though His design may push us in the directions that we may not choose for ourselves to go, God pushes us in that direction in the path of freedom, true freedom, freedom to be who we were made to be. One pastor I know once illustrated it like this to me. Imagine a skilled woodworker sets off to create a guitar, to make a guitar, and there he is pouring his blood, sweat, and tears into this instrument, and he finishes it. And he gives it to someone else and says, "Here, take and use this guitar." And so the person receives the guitar and says, "Okay, what can I do with this? Baseball sounds fun. Swing!" Now, maybe a guitar can hit a baseball, but it's going to be destroyed in the process. Well, maybe he says, "Okay, not baseball, but there's a nail that I know needs to be hammered." So he goes to the nail. Well, perhaps the nail might actually go into the wood, but again, the guitar is going to be destroyed. It's not until the person who has the guitar sits down and plays the strings and hears the beautiful music that comes out of it that the guitar is fulfilling its created purpose. Human beings, like the guitar, we may be able to go against the grain of the purposes for which we were created, but if we follow that path, it will end in destruction. To walk with God by faith, then, is to fulfill the purpose for which He made us. To walk under His loving authority. That's where true life and freedom are found. And that's the reason Jesus came. To bring us back into that purpose for which we were made. To bring us into forgiveness, life, and the true freedom for which we were created in a relationship with a loving God and Father.